Back. So we're now going to dive into having a look at creating remarketing campaigns. So first thing that I need you to do is just make sure that you have the audience tag set up. So in order to do this, if you log into your Google Ads account as normal, just navigate to this top tools and settings section and pop on the audience manager area. So you'll be greeted with a screen that looks something like this, and then you've got the first option here, which is to set up an audience source. So we'll click on that. Now what we're going to do is decide how you want to target your audiences. So you've got the Google Ads tag. You can potentially use analytics as well. We're going to use Google Ads tag today. So you click on the set up tag option here. So what we're going to go through is select the type of data that you want to collect. So only collect general website visit data to show ads to your website videos. Collect data on specific actions people performed on your website to personalize ads. So we're going to set up the first one just to be to capture kind of the general website visitors. I'm going to click on this and then continue onto the next section. So to install the tag, you've got the options to either install the tag yourself. So this is where you'll add the tag to your code, to your website code. You can email the tag to your webmaster, or you can use Google Tag Manager. So there'll be different options here. Whatever is most relevant for you, I'm going to do the option to install the tag myself on my website so that it's added. So it'll give you some instructions here, which you'll need to follow to make sure that the tag is correctly placed. So the global site tag, add visitors to your basic remarketing list, etc, etc, etc. Copy the tag below, paste in between the head tags of every page of your website, and you'll need to install the global site tag once per account, which can be used. So this is the global site tag. So what you can do is just copy this data and pop it onto your website, or use whichever option is relevant for you. Then you'll continue, and then you'll be done. So once that's added to your website, you'll then be able to start making lists. So what you'll see here is it'll start actually showing some data and kind of hits in the last 24 hours. So if you hover over this shows the number of hits recorded within the past 24 hours. So this might be a little bit delayed, but that's where you'll be able to see when that's installed. So once you've got your Google Ads tag installed on your site and you're ready to start building your audiences, you can pop back into audience lists, or if you're coming back into your Google Ads interface back from anywhere else, pop in here again and just click on Audience Manager and you'll come back to this page. So you can create audience lists from this page, and to do that you click on this plus button here. Now this is where we talked about the different types of audience remarketing lists that are available to you. So you've got website visitors, you've got app users, you've got YouTube users, and you've got custom lists, and you've also got custom combinations, which is kind of basically built regarding kind of multiple lists that you'll create. So I'm going to show you how to set up a normal kind of website visitor audience. So you click the plus on website visitor, and then create an audience name. So this is where you'll drop in what you want the audience name to be called. Try and keep it relevant to obviously something that you're going to remember and be able to read easily and manage. So I'm just going to call this all website visitors. And then you can drop down here and it's got select the type of visitors which you'd like to create. So you've got visitors of a page, you've got visitors who also visited another page, who did not visit another page, specific dates, and visitors with specific tags. So I'm going to do the visitors of a page. Then you've got refer URL, a page URL. So I'm just going to page URL contains, and then pop in my URL. So to do that, I'm just going to go to my website, and then I'm just going to copy that URL and pop that in. So anything that contains freelance to success is going to be captured. So it's saying here, I've got your audience doesn't have any members. Try adjusting your rules and check the audience list size panel. Now the reason that this is coming up for me specifically is because I haven't actually added this tag to my website yet. This is just a dummy account. So just make sure you've got your tag in place before you try to start building the audiences. Then you've got some pre-fill options here at the bottom, which is really useful. So you can actually pre-populate your list if you've had your tag on your site. So with people from the last 30 days, or you can start with an empty list. I always go for the option to pre-populate it if it's possible. It's up to you how you want to do it yourself. And then the member duration, so we talked about obviously the maximum you can go to here is 540. Depending on what your strategy is with remarketing, it might be that you just want to capture people who fall in the last 30 days. I always tend to do around 360, so I capture keep it for a year. That someone stays in the list. And then you can add a description here if you need more information about who falls into the list for your own reference outside of what you've got for the audience name. And then you just click on create audience, and then that is your first audience created. And you'll see it popped up here straight away as well. So what you've got here is, once you create your remarketing tag, and then you get that installed as well, Google will start creating what's known as like predefined automatic audience lists. So I've just built this one, all website visitors, but it's going to be exactly the same probably as this all visitors Google Ads one. So this has got people who visit pages that contain your remarketing tags. So this is basically Google's automatically created list that will start populating once you add the tag to your site. And you'll see here on the right hand side that it's got this populating option. So once these are built, I know that obviously this is just a search audience, so it'll come up with the populating status, but remember, if it's less than 1,000, it won't show. It'll say as audience list is too small, so ideally you want to have more than 1,000 in that list for it to start being eligible to use on your campaigns. So we talked about YouTube as well, so video remarketing. So when it comes to setting up a video remarketing campaign, you'll also have to link up your channel. So if you pop into tools and settings, this is where you can kind of link different accounts. So on the setup section, you've got linked accounts here. So if you navigate here, there'll be an option for your YouTube channel. So if you scroll down, got here, so YouTube, click details, and then link YouTube channel to Google Ads. Okay, so you'll go through this process to add a channel. So what you need to do is pop in your YouTube channel here. I don't have a YouTube channel, so I can't really create a link to it at the moment, but what you do is you pop it in and you'll go through kind of who you need to send the link and request to. Just make sure that when you do this, it's the right email that has the access to the YouTube channel and actually can grant the permissions. And then once they're linked, you'll then be able to start kind of building audiences from a YouTube perspective as well. So just moving on to actually setting up a campaign with a remarketing audience. So there's two ways to think about creating audience data. So what I mean by that is we don't necessarily have to create a new campaign. We might just say, actually, I'm going to apply an audience list to an existing campaign. So maybe I put it on my test campaign, for example. So you can actually, any audience list that you build, you can add to your campaign in observation or targeting mode. So observation means that when you apply the list to your campaign, you're just observing how that list performs in comparison to everything else that is being captured from that campaign. If you apply it as targeting, that's when it's actually a thorough remarketing campaign, because it's only targeting the people that fall into that audience list and while searching for the keywords that are in your campaign. So I'll show you how this looks, and to do that we're going to use Google Ads Editor. It's probably just a little bit easier to do so. So open up your Google Ads Editor, and what you'll be able to do is within Google Ads Editor, once you've created your audiences, you'll then be able to import them into Google Ads. So once you're in your Google Ads Editor account and you have got your recent changes, you'll be able to apply your audience lists. So this account is a good example of where we're using normal campaigns with audience observation and then actual remarketing specific campaigns. So you can see here, if I click on, I don't know, CAP BMM, for example, on the right hand side where it's got audiences, the flexible reach is set to observation. So this means that any audiences that are applied to this CAC campaign will be able to see the data for, but it's not just targeting those individually. Whereas if you move to the remarketing competitor campaign, for example, the audience is set to targeting. So that means it's only reaching people who fall into the audience lists and the keywords that we're targeting. So in order to see your audiences, if you click under the keywords and targeting section and scroll down, you'll get this area that's called audiences, and this is where you will create and apply your audiences based on what you've built already, so you can import them in this section. So you can see that there's different types of audiences that have been applied to this campaign, and these are being specifically targeted. So anybody who falls into this audience and also searches for a keyword such as pet crematorium Leyland will be targeted. Whereas on the dog exact campaign, for example, anybody searching for dog aftercare options, for example, will be targeted, but we will be able to observe the performance of people who fall into an audience, but it's not specifically targeted to them. So you can see here it's clearly broken out between the type of audiences that we have. So we've got all users, and then anything with GA is being built in Google Analytics and imported in. So this is a good example of capturing people based on how they've interacted with your website. So we've got people who have spent longer than 120 seconds on the website. We've got people who hit the dog page. We've got people who hit the contact us page, for example. And then on the same in the remarketing campaign, we've got returning users, engaged users over 120 seconds, and then we've got some of Google's predefined audience lists, so pet lovers, family focus, pet supplies as well, that's being targeted there. So to add an audience to your campaign within Google Ads Editor, you're just going to pop on this plus audience section. Depending on your goal, you'll either add it to an ad group or a campaign level. I normally always stick to a campaign level when I'm doing remarketing, and so I have a remarketing specific campaign. So you click campaign level, and this is where you've got all your audience lists. So there's Google's predefined audience lists. So you've got your affinity and market, installed app categories, etc. You've got like detailed demographics, and then you've got life events, etc. And then you've got what we've created, so it'll be remarketing lists. And this is where you'll see a list of anything that you've built in your Google Ads account. So these will just be able to, you can literally just select them all like this and click OK, and they'll just be added. This is showing a flag because it's already on this campaign, so these have all been added, and then those audiences will now show data in the Google Ads account. So you can either set that to targeted or observation. So observation is just to collect the data and understand how that audience list is performing. Targeting means that you're only targeting people who fall within that specific audience that you've applied to the campaign. So it's really important that you know the difference between those two. So once you've built your audience list and applied it, you can then just post it as normal, and then that's your campaign set up with remarketing audience lists. We'll go into some kind of advanced remarketing in some of my other videos in the future. So keep me posted if you want more information about audience lists, and if you've got any questions, you know where we are. Thanks guys, and keep learning.